Frotteuristic disorder. Frotteurism is intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person. Frotteuristic disorder is diagnosed when a person has acted on these sexual urges or the urges cause significant distress or impaired functioning. Causes of Frotteuristic disorder are thought to include a combination of psychological, social, and biological factors. A doctor diagnoses Frotteuristic disorder in a person who experiences recurrent and intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person or has acted on those urges. Treatment combines individual or group psychotherapy with antidepressants known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, and other medications. Frotteuristic disorder is a form of paraphilia. The word frottage comes from the French verb frotter, which means to rub or to put pressure on someone. The term is now used to describe intense sexual arousal as a result of touching, non-genitally, or rubbing one's genital area against a non-consenting person. This usually involves contact with an unknown person in crowded areas such as subways, buses, elevators, sporting events, or other public venues. Many frotters appear to be excited by the risk of getting caught in a public place. Most cases of frotteurism occur with males touching females, although there have been cases of females touching males or males touching males. There have also been cases of adults of either sex touching children. When frotteurism is committed by adults, regardless of whether the target is an adult or a child, it is considered a crime because it is a form of non-consensual sex. No one knows exactly how frotteurism develops, but the causes are thought to include a combination of psychological, social, and biological factors. Diagnosis of Frotteuristic disorder. A doctor's evaluation, based on standard psychiatric diagnostic criteria. A doctor diagnoses Frotteuristic disorder based on the following criteria. The person experiences recurrent and intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person, in fantasies, urges, or behaviors. The person has acted on these sexual urges with a non-consenting person, or the sexual urges or fantasies cause distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. The condition has been present for 6 months or more. The doctor must also specify whether the person is living in a controlled environment, for example, an institution, or in full remission, has had at least 5 years without distress/impairment in an uncontrolled environment. Treatment of Frotteuristic disorder. Psychotherapy, individual or group. Certain antidepressants. Sometimes other medications. The typical approach to treating Frotteuristic disorder combines individual or group psychotherapy with antidepressants known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, and other medications that reduce testosterone levels and thus reduce the sex drive. Coexisting psychiatric disorders are also treated. People with Frotteurism are usually ordered into treatment after arrest for sexual assault. As a result, they are often unwilling and unmotivated to participate in their own treatment.
I didn't even know there was a name for this. We learn something new every day. This was in the human trafficking ring. This is a sexual assault. This is a highly common thing. And you might see it also in child predators. It is, I don't even know how to say that. Frotteuristic. Yeah, okay. Is an intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person. Kevin Spacey all day long. I didn't know how to name though. That's so funny. I just learned this stuff. No. But that's what he does, right? He has you guys. The problem that I say with these things when I go through these guys, I don't even go into this whole like comorbidity layered thing. I just say they have it. Like they just have a million other things. But legit, like if you went through Kevin's thing, you could go, oh, he is a total narcissist. He's also Frotteuristic disorder or something. He has depression. He has anxiety. He's an addict. He's total socio. He's an ASPD type of dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like he has a long list of things. He could also be delusional. I mean, just tons of stuff here. He could be bipolar as well. On top of it, he could be also autistic. Legit, one person can have all those different things. So I just look for the very specific thing then that draws me into the problem person. And then it's almost like, if I think about it more deeply, it's almost like if I can find the narcissist, then I can find the person that is capable of doing about all these other things. But they all don't act out. But this is an acting out one. So this is a harm to self and others, and you can get arrested for it. But unfortunately, they have seen this as a normal thing that men do and rub their things on us, right? So this actually happened to me beyond my workplace. When I was at one of the Alice shows, these two guys at random, after the assistant he went back to go do some work for, I don't know, during the show, he went to go do something. The attorney was gone. I already talked to the attorney. He's gone. Me and the other girl, like, went into the crowd, and these two, like, I don't know if they're Russians. We don't know what the hell they were. They were these white foreigner dudes, and they were young and then really tall, like one of them in particular, and they came right up to me and put their dick, like, right up in the back of my ass. And I was like, did this really happen? And I'm standing there, and I don't know why it's happening. You freeze. I was like, there's no way somebody's doing this to me right now. Like, because we're in the audience and everybody's standing around. It wasn't like packed. They're never packed. But it was like there's space. So I'm trying to figure out, like, why somebody would even be up against the back of me. And finally, I just slowly move away from them. And then the guy moves again and tries it again. And then I move away from him again. And then I think finally they stayed standing there, but then they didn't do anything else. But that's what this is right here. And it's a sexual assault. It's a form of rape. It's disgusting. But they have done this. And then our job, they were trying to expect us to let these guys do this stuff to us. It was disgusting. It's fucking sick. But they do it to children too. So like Santa lap. Okay. Santa lap. Why don't we just call it Santa lap? Because legit, like, what the hell? That's probably why they started doing the lap thing. I don't think that was the original thing of Santa Claus. I mean, we could go back into the history of that. I don't know. But the lap thing can fulfill this thing right here as well. Cause of this disorders are thought to include a combination of psychological, social, and biological factors. A diagnosis for this disorder is a person who experienced recurrent and intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person or has acted on those urges. About 10 million men. They appear to be excited by the risk of getting caught in public places. Think about Kevin Spacey, you guys. Oh my God. Totally. It was like a direct. Now it gets specific. Like, on the specific action that he does, that is so what the hell. Because, like, the dad will be in the room, the Dreyfuss thing. So they're in the room, and the next thing he does is rub. Okay, so he starts doing some crap. He did it in the spa. This is how I knew that all the allegations were connected and true. Because the MO, and then what exactly does he do? So two people across the globe are not making something up on this same specific disorder. And I was like, what in the living nightmare is going on here? Most cases occur with males touching females, although there have been cases of females touching males or females or males touching males. In fact, you guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's probably the most common with male on male, but that's just, there's something weird with that. Because they're trying to get around the Christian bullshit and then the church, you know, how they were doing all that. And so the way they can get around it is like the spanking thing too. So like just all those different things where they're going around it and touching the boys. Yeah, you failed on this, dude. Why'd you do this? Come on, George. When Frotteurism is committed by adults, regardless of whether the target is an adult or child, is considered a crime because it's a form of non-consensual sex. Yes. That's what they were saying to get my, what did they say? Oh my God, when they were coming in the human trafficking ring, they said, you know, I miss my glory days. I need to get my, what did they say? Grind and grope? Something weird. And I was like, ah, every time these guys got near me, like I would literally push them away, like away a little bit, you know, like a school dance thing. Because they're not supposed to be doing that. It's against the law. And I was like, what the hell? And then these dudes would like try to throw me against a wall and try to do this shit. And then like literally no one saves us. And then you'll read these stories of them doing that to these girls and you can't stop it. Because the way that our job is, it was like any moment in time. And then you'd be dancing, right? All of a sudden their hands go right to your ass. Like they totally sexually assault you. And they're like, oh, and then I have to like throw their arms out. Like I have my elbow things and I'm like, you know? And then sometimes you just get so tired. You're just like, I'm just fucking tired of this shit, you know? And they do it. They're trying to get you to break down so they can rape you. But LA County was operating a human trafficking ring, and that was actually probably one of the number one things that they were doing, by the way. LA County. Are you happy on our blood money? Are you? Okay. That was a Kevin Spacey. He would have loved coming in there, and he probably did, and I just wasn't there, thankfully. I was like, no, I mean, I'm dead serious. Are you serious? Come on. No one knows exactly how it develops. I think we could tell you right now with Kevin. His daddy was slipping his hand down his pants when he was a kid. I mean, there's like literally everything laid out on his story that it's just like, what? But that I would say is like the number one problem with men because they're rapists. They're like thinking, oh, it's not exactly sex. Like it's not sex, right? It's like not having intercourse. You know why? I could tell you right now why. Christians. The ideology to the Bible is about the sexual intercourse thing, right? And then if you do, then you're going to hell. So what happened was all these psychotic Christian cultists thought of a million ways around that thing. Well, this is not actual sex, right? Right? So you could totally get it. But they don't have a clue. I'm totally on top of this because I had to deal with their sexuality. I had to learn about this bullshit, like in a way that you wouldn't even want to, by being a victim. And then by one of my other jobs where they're talking about these weird things. So it got me into like looking at, oh, causation. Why would you ever be into this thing? And so it gave me this level of knowledge that people in this field seem to be clueless about. Do you see it? So, and they left out the male part. I go, but men have been doing this the entire time. Pay attention. Pay attention. Men have been touching and rubbing up on each other from the very get-go. But it's seen as a very male thing. It's this thing. We love football because we like to roll around with each other. Okay, so just in that level of things, right? So just go back. And the gay men really love wrestling. There's a lot of things, okay? So if you go back, you see how they're getting around the Christian thing, but then they just start touching each other. They're the ones that are raping each other in fraternities. They're the ones doing all these things. And then trying to get around, look, it's not sex. Me rubbing my junk on her, it's not sex, okay? It's totally legal. In Kevin's mind, he thinks it's legal. It's not like actual sex. So me just like rubbing up on you in a spa is totally like legal, okay? But in his mind, he thinks it's legal. Because it's not like the education about sex, right? The typical like vanilla thing that they're talking about. But I'm glad he points out, he's like, it is considered a crime because it's a form of non-consensual sex. Well, please tell LA County this because what the F? No woman in that job sat there and said, hey, dude, just rub up on me, okay, any time of the week. That never happened. But then there was worse things because they did that. So figure some guy like dry raping you, that is where it goes. And this involves children as well. And they don't want them to hear this as an education. I go, no, we should have knew this as an education so we can tell somebody. They want to mute that and suppress information and make sure children don't hear it, when in fact, we are the biggest victims in this whole story. And they do this to us because of the fact that we don't know that, and then they get away with it. The Santa Claus thing is insane too. It's like we just hand our kids to some stranger in a mall, and then this right here. Yeah. It's not really a joke. Like, it's like you're pointing out something where, I mean, if you're like that, that would be the perfect job for you, right? You would really want to be the Santa of the mall. Not saying that every Santa of the mall was like totally into this. It's just that it leaves that door open for that garbage right there. This is, I guarantee you, in his mind, the one writing this, he probably thinks it's not as common as it actually is. It's actually probably the #1 form of sexual violence on us in society, because they do it by a million different ways of doing that. Yeah, the rubbing, that thing, I could show you. I mean, if I wanted to, I could go to the site where they were talking about all that stuff, and where they're like discussing this particular thing right here. And that was the most common form of sexual assault in the ring. You know, and then you see certain groups of people promoting it on a dance floor. It's one of those things, you know, it's in society, like you'll see it in certain contexts. And so it doesn't have to be sexual, like keep it in context. We, the victim, do not care what the hell's going on in your head. Your MO for doing it doesn't matter. You did it, and now we're traumatized. That needs to matter the most out of all these things that are going on. We matter about the outcome of what you did, not your MO reasons or excuses for why you did it. If your reasons are you got totally aroused by it, then you need to go to a therapist for that particular reason. Oh, they have to take antidepressants. Are they depressed assholes that come up to me doing that? They're like, what's wrong with you? Then they start verbally degrading you when you don't let them do it. Like, you say no, right? And then they keep trying to do it, and you're like, no. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Then they go to the front. They tell the pimp daddies, they're like, she doesn't make me happy and I'm not paying her. We should not pay her. Okay, so then the next thing you know, you see LAPD out here going, the men are victims, okay? The men are victims of these ladies. They won't let us rub up against them. Okay, these women, they just rip us off. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, you guys. Let me tell you. And that's beyond them, you know, hooking up people with the rich men to send out. This was the other thing that was going on, that it just eventually, it's like you're getting raped by all these guys because it's a sexual act, that you just break down. Because I keep trying to stop them, but they say the treatment for it is psychotherapy. It's not me. I'm not the one to blame, LA County, you sickos. Psychotherapy, certain antidepressants, and sometimes other medication. Kevin, you need to take some meds. This is what they say. The typical approach to treating Kevin Spacey disorder combines individual or group psychotherapy with antidepressants known as selective serotonin inhibitors, SSRIs, and other medications that reduce testosterone levels and thus reducing the sex drive. Coexisting psychiatric disorder are also treated, which I hope that they're talking about, like the narcissism, for people actually just doing it with no care to self and others and harming others, right? So they're acting out, which takes a level of narcissism. I mean, it's pretty brave when you think about like the action of just walking up to a person and rubbing up on them. I mean, think of doing this for most sane people, but all these men out here seem to have no issue with it. But just randomly going and rubbing up on somebody with no F's. The mentality of that is so self-centered and narcissistic that it couldn't really not be with it somehow, like the level of it. to say NPD. I would think it's very strongly, if it's not there, it's pretty close to there. And the evil that they say, when you decline it, shows that they're a narcissist, because it's not a, oh, sorry, you know, I respect your like saying no or something like that. It's like they keep doing it. And then Kevin keeps doing it, right? You really want it. Yeah, he started that. And it says people with that disorder are usually ordered into treatment after arrest for sexual assault. No, I swear to God, thousands and thousands of men have this problem. I mean, beyond that number. From what I know from our that little ring, thousands alone. As a result, they're often unwilling and unmotivated to participate in their own treatment. Can you see why? The narcissism. That's why they won't. Kevin has this disorder right here, big time. Are we helping him by denying it? No, we're not helping him by denying it. The public is not helping anybody by denying it. It's so bad that he continues on. It's so bad that then he degrades the victims of it. It's so bad. It's the narcissism is keeping him from going to get help. And then the enabling people are doing the whole blinders on, all that. He don't want to get treatment. He's another one of those. So, and then we can't get him in the courtrooms. Apparently he could just go pick up some 14-year-olds, you know, all these things. But the public seems to be so dumb. Or it's like this. The public does these things on a regular basis, and so they don't see a problem with it. They're like, what? We all do that. We all do that. Why should anybody go to jail for that? I do it too. So why would I ever convict Kevin from doing it? You know? Yes, yes, yes.